Hello, everyone. This is John Turnbull here from Powder Blue Sports. And let me see if I can get my chat window here. We're going to have a. There we go. Is it. All right. Oh, I don't want that. This is going to be, as you can tell, a very impromptu, informal. To live. Let's see. How can I get that out of there? Alrighty. So what we're going to do today, I had a few minutes to chat here, so I wanted to go over, review, and maybe introduce to some who are not familiar with my games, the Powder Blue Sports Year in Review. It's been a little over a year since I launched the first game. So I just wanted to do a little bit of an overview. I'm maybe stealing an idea from James Cast. He does his quarterly and yearly statistical overview of the games he's played, and I kind of like that idea, so I just went ahead and we'll steal that from James. So it's better to ask forgiveness and permission, I guess, but we'll go over all the games and highlight each one. And then we'll talk about what's coming up in the future. So on the screen you'll see, I'm not going to put the full PowerPoint presentation mode because I'm going to be switching back and forth between screens. So basically what you see is what you get on here. I can actually raise it a little bit. There you go. And Roleplay Cafe is in. Can I get a sound check, please? I think I'm okay on my levels. And we'll see if he can hear me and go from there. All right. The first game on the docket is Drive Time Football. Actually, here's what I'm going to do here first. Let me go on my phone. Since I don't have a sound check yet, I'm going to... Oh, you're good. All right. Thank you very much. I was going to check on my phone to see if the sound's coming through. All right. Powder Blue Sports started with this game. It debuted 16 October of last year. And you can see I made these slides about two and a half weeks ago. So it is a drive-by-drive football game. And I'm going to approach this as if people really don't know what the game is about. Although most of you probably will. If not, it'll be a refresher if you haven't played it in a while. All my games are quick play games. And as you can see, I've got 38 professional seasons and one college season in the library at the present time. I have all of the AFL seasons from 60 to 69 and matching NFL seasons for the same time periods, and then some of the better NFL seasons from 1950 through today, and a greatest team set, which includes all Super Bowl teams, all undefeated teams, all 1 and 2 loss teams, which totals about 146 teams since 1950. And I also have one college season and one USFL season. Now, this game was not without its growing pains. So when I originally released the game, it was strictly had an offensive column. There was no secondary defense column for the red zone. I since fixed that. And I also went from a 12 drive model to a 14 drive model. I found that typically 14 drives is the most you're going to average during a given year. So based on that, you have extra rolls to determine whether or not you're going to hit your average of drives. If you are on the high side of that, then you're going to get more extra drives. If you're on the low side of that, you're not going to get as many extra drives. And that just adds a little bit of excitement. Toward the end of the game, there are 8 mandatory drives, 2 in each quarter, and 6 other potential extra drives, 2 in each of the first, second, third quarters, and I put 3 in the fourth quarter. Actually, let me check I got a copy of the score sheet here. Let's see. Yeah, I put 3. One at the first, second, third quarters, and 3 at the end. So that totals 6 extra drive potentials for the game. And overtime doesn't count. And then ran into another snafu with a league adjustment. I realized that having the actual stats on there, if a good team's playing a bad team, if a good team is playing a series of games, and the series of games represents the league average, then their actual stats, which I originally had, are going to lower themselves to, if they're better than the league average, they will lower themselves to less than what their actual team averages were during the season. So I went and did a pivot on that, and all my sets now include all the stats that are league adjusted. So when they play everybody who's in the league, their stats will settle into what their actual averages were for percentages of drive types for the season. And like I said, we got 400 as of this creation, 485 members. We can go on to the Facebook page real quick here, and you can see we're up to 490. I won't bring up the demographics and stuff, but you can see the number of posts, reactions, and comments, and so on. So there is Drive Time Football. We'll bring up let's bring up a card here for those who haven't seen it before. These are the cards for the ones with the player finders. Not all the seasons have them. Eventually, I'll be filling them in, or most of the past seasons that I don't have player finders will. We're currently running the 1985 co-op season. Andrew Sexton is running that, and I've got we're using a version with the player finders with that. So this is the Super Bowl all-time great seasons, and actually it starts with 1966. It runs all the way through the 2024 season, and it has all of the player finders that you need and what their cards look like. Now, this is the download version. If you get anything that you buy from me printed, I do offer printed sets. Anything you buy off of me will not come with the logos or the nicknames for copyright reasons. But the ones I give away for free will have these. Otherwise, we'll just say 2012 Houston and have the Drive Time logo in this area. So, and there you can see on the NFL greatest teams, you can see what happened. Franchise best. Let's see, those are toward the bottom. Any Super Bowl winners will have the Lombardi Trophy on there. And a version of the score sheet. I do have an Excel helper. I don't have a copy of it up on here, but there is an Excel helper in the Google Drive area and also on the Facebook page. So this is the score sheet, columns for each drive, each segment, and then a scoring summary, which you will alternate between teams that score. It's not all just home and road. It's sequentially and by whoever scored. So, with that in mind, we'll go to the second game, and that would be Baseline Basketball. This got released in February of 2025. And as a couple weeks ago, we had over 400 members. And I've got 18 professional seasons, 3 college seasons. I've got 2 ABA seasons in there, 2 WNBA seasons, and 3 college seasons in there, as well as an NBA greatest teams, excuse me, greatest team set. So those are the seasons that we have listed there. Let's take a look at the cards. Let's see here. Oh, that's the... Okay, here's the greatest team set 1. Has most of the... I think it actually has all of the NBA finals teams. 68 teams, including all NBA winners. And if they won, they have their championship trophy here. As you can see, the earlier seasons did not have a 3-point scoring. So this is a multi-tiered scoring engine based on the percentage of 3, 2s, and 1s that they scored during the season. Also, these offense and defense also separates the categories for those 3 based on the percentages that they scored and allowed. And with this section here being the average points for each one. And then, since nothing is strictly divisible by 12, we've got these calibration points, which is, it's not an indication of team score or strength, but it's just a carryover from all these formulas that I use to dial in the average score for and against. And it has a player lookup system. You can see here on the 3d6 that you roll for a given segment. If you roll a certain number and it matches a player, that player gets the number of points that team scores in that segment. I will tell you right off the bat, some of the individual game scoring can be clunky, but over the course of a season, the points per game smooths out and averages out quite nicely. And with the top 5, I also have a bench scoring. So it takes everybody else, and this uses a D100. So if a number that you roll on that first roll, that 3d6, doesn't match anybody who's in the top 5, it automatically goes to the bench, and then you roll a D100, 2d10, and you assign the points to somebody who is on the bench. And then you can see the score sheet here. These was made by Hans Larson. I believe I got his name right. I love the score sheets he makes, and I almost prefer using them over my own. It's just the artistry that he uses on his are fantastic, and these are also included in the file section as well. But you have your different segments. We've got 12 segments in the pro game, 10 segments in the college game, and 8 segments in the NBA game, as well as any overtime. And also the basketball game uses the what I call a total scoring adjustment, or TSA, and that'll be in the rules section. That is a minor mathematical formula which you can use the offensive and defensive calibration points. It shows you how to assign those, plus the difference in SRS between 2 opponents. And we come up with some. We roll for a home field advantage, and the formula will give you how many adjustment points to spread across the spreadsheet, or the score sheet for each team for each game. I do have an Excel helper in the file section for this as well. But this game flows really good. I really love playing this game as far as the ebb and flow of an actual basketball game. You can actually feel the teams going on runs, shooting hot, shooting cold, and the excitement of rolling for that last second bucket is very attainable with this game. So, one of my favorites. I can't pick my favorite kid, but you know how it goes. So, let's go from there to the third game, which is red ice hockey. And let's see. This game was debuted at Digital to Dice Con on the 17th of May, and it rapidly surpassed the number of members in the previous two games with its relative youth, which just goes to describe the testament of the rabidness of hockey fans out there. It was very well received, and you can see I got 18 professional seasons. I came out with 10 when we first started. I included the WHA 78-79 season and also the Summit Series between the U.S. and Russia for 1972. And there you can see some of the other seasons that have been created for that. Let's go ahead and take a look at a card. And these all have player finders on them. So it's a percentage-based game for different types of goals. You got regular goals, you got 2-goal segments, and you got power play goals. When you roll this power play, you go to the power play section. You roll again to see if you got a power play goal or a shorthanded goal, and or no goal at all. So many different possibilities, and we have this XG, which is an extra goal, and this is a function that uses the team SRS. If the SRS difference between two teams is 0.9 or above, the team with the higher rating can use this XG when a 9 is rolled one time per game to either score a goal or take away, if they're on defense, a goal from scoring from an opponent. So this adds a little bit more of a factor to adjust the relative weights of the talents of the team. So, and then you can roll for your goals, your goalies. Shows how many games they had and what their role is for starting a game, and you can also roll for shots on goal. Now with this game, the big bugaboo on this early on was the empty net goal. Since I try to compartmentalize things and make the game as simple as possible, the empty net goal was reserved for the last segment 12 of the game. And if a team was behind by 3, of course, once the game is on your table, you play it the way you want. You roll to see if the empty net number was achieved. If it was, the team with the most shots on goal, and you can keep tracking and roll for shots on goal for each segment, they would be able to dictate which one of these columns either score or allow with or against an empty net goal. And like I said, that's in the instructions to figure out a roll that, if achieved positively, would result in an empty net goal. And then you would divide the score or allow against number by 2, shrinking it by a half for a potential second one. Now, let's see here. I got somebody just had comments here. Just played 2 bouts and fight card. Okay, I haven't. That'll be my last game. I'm gonna review, but that's fine. My first match ended a TKO win by Lennox Lewis when the doctor saw head trauma signs in Fury, and Hearns beat Jones Jr. by a unanimous decision. Yeah, I'm not going to foreshadow on the boxing game. We'll definitely get back to your comment here, R2K. So let's get back to the hockey game real quick here. And a lot of people were, and understandably so, were having issues with this empty net. So what I did is, you still got to roll this empty net number. that number or under in order to enact the empty net rule. So I created an alternate rule depending on what season you're playing. That if you roll that number, then you would roll a 3d6, and then depending on what you roll, you're either going to get a goal or an empty net goal. And the chances of the goal, this in pink, is the goal for the team that has the empty net. Because as you can see, those chances dwindle greatly as you go into your second opportunity and third, depending on if you make your first or second. And then there's other instructions on from the 1999 to 2000 season forward for how to do the empty net as well, and that actually uses the power play goal side of the card. So there's a lot less math involved with that. You roll your empty net number, you read the instructions, and you're basically just rolling and seeing what happens. Here's the score sheet again. This is the custom score sheet that was made for me. It's beautiful, and you can actually roll for your goals on a 2d10. Roll for your assist, and the assist number here, if that number or less is rolled, then you roll for a second assist. If the person you roll for the assist is the same person who scored the goal, then you assume that that goal has no assist, and that's in the rule set as well. And then you can see all the different teams from the 24-25 season. So that is Red Ice Hockey in a nutshell. So let us go now to Fight Card Boxing. This debuted August of this year, so it is September, October, 2.5 months old. And let's check one thing here real quick. I'm going to go to my Facebook page here. We have 212 members now. So this group is really blown up as well. And that's, again, a testament to the number of boxing fans out there. I just recently did a podcast with Gregory Rashid for his podcast, and I'll actually put the link on the Facebook page for that. So this game was actually inspired for me to make by Jason Graham. So I lobbed it around in my head for several weeks and finally figured out how I wanted it to fit my game engine. Again, wanted to make something that was simple, and what I did for simplicity's sake as well is divide the fighters into 4 weight classes. There are several fighters that can fight within more than one weight class. Let me show you a card here from... So there's your boxers, and a lot of it is based on your ability to win, your ability to knock out an opponent, your ability to last long into a fight. Those are basically the 3 factors that go into making this game. The ratings and the formulas were subjective in nature, and I even said that in the rules. But even though that it is subjective in nature, it still is comparative to each other. So when you fight somebody, they're all using the same formulas, so which makes it even across the board when you're trying to figure out the relative strength between each boxer. Now, the intensity, I'll you notice Carmen Basillo has a 4. There's some, I know Mike Tyson has a 10. A lot of that is that's like a power concentration number. Tyson's average rounds per bout, like Michael Bent, okay, he had 13 bouts, 11 wins, and 6 knockouts. Well, if you have a high knockout percentage, you're going to have a higher intensity, as long as your rounds per bout is less. Muhammad Ali knocked out quite a few people, but he also lasted 9 rounds per bout was his average. So he went a lot longer in fights. So his knockout concentration or power was more spread out amongst the rounds that he fought, which would result in a lower intensity number for him. But he gets a higher endurance, and he also gets a higher work rate based on his winning percentage. So with that in mind, it's a 2-tiered. You roll for if you hit your work rate number, then you get to do damage. If you do damage, you get a chance to have a multiplier to pretend to knock somebody out, cut them good, put them up against the ropes, and whatever. And I do have charts in the instructions that go over different scenarios for damage and for end of fight scenarios for knockouts and for TKOs. So I can see we got some fighters. There's WWE for welterweight, heavyweight, and there are fighters that are in more than one weight class. Here's Ezra Charles. He was a heavyweight and a middleweight. So, looking at Box.rec, which is all the stats came from, you can see their wavering in their weights amongst the fights in their career, which represents them potentially fighting into more than one weight class. And doing research too, just because a lighter weight fighter goes into a heavier class doesn't mean he has a lesser chance of winning. So everything is compacted into one career card for each boxer. And let's see here. Will you add any women fighters? Probably not right away. This could also be used. You could essentially use this system for MMA. I probably don't have a chance to do an MMA game, but I do have an Excel spreadsheet in the file section that will allow you to create any fighter that you want, because all these fighters are retired. So I don't, that way I'm not using a current boxer that I'm going to have to keep constantly updating their card. But with that spreadsheet, you're going to be able to create any boxer that you want, which would include women fighters. I didn't check Box.rec to see if there was actually women boxers in there. But if you can get the stats for wins, losses, draws, number of knockouts, number of bouts, number of rounds, that's it. These are the stats that you need I don't want AI assistant. Those are the bouts that you need or the stats that you need to create a card. So if you can find women's stats, then that would be fantastic. So that is the boxing. Let me give you a look at what the paper score sheet looks like. And you're basically looking at the sections to see if the work rate was hit, if it was, what the damage was, and also scoring based on what they did during the round. There are some mandatory 10-9 and 10-8 rounds based on if somebody did damage, if somebody didn't do damage, or if they had a multiplier with their damage. That all goes and factors into the judge's scoring, or if you actually have to roll for the judge's score. I do have an Excel spreadsheet for this as well. It'll auto calculate your intensity, but one thing it won't do yet is roll for the end of fight scenario or damage scenarios. I'll be doing that at some point in the future. That's definitely something that I want to do. Oh, excuse me. So let's get back to the. Let's see if I got any more slides here. Oh, one thing about the boxing game. Yes, I did make one change. I wanted to find a sweet spot to allow fights to either go the distance or end in knockout. Now, I used AI. This is the first game which I used AI, not to actually make the game, but to kind of refine what I thought I needed to achieve a realistic, desired result when you're taking the best fighters and constantly putting them against the best fighters. I don't have any fighters in here that went 2-28, but with the spreadsheet, you can certainly make it and see what happens. Or you can make a worst of the worst set if you want. But let's see, what was I getting at here? Okay, my mind escaped me here. Let me go back and see if I can't. Let's see. Nope. You know what? I just completely blanked out on what I was going to talk about here. So I guess it wasn't that important. Oh, yeah. I did I used AI, and I asked it for top rank heavyweight fights, what was the percentage of bouts that went the distance? And it told me about 27 to 30% of the fights between top ranked boxers go the distance. Well, the original formulas that I made up and game engine only resulted in about 17 to 20%, which was a little bit low. A lot of fights were ending in KOs and TKOs. So what I did was I put a rule in there that if a boxer misses his work rate roll, the opposing boxer gains 7 points of endurance, and that really seemed to hit the sweet spot as far as allowing more fights to go the distance with a percentage that was realistic with what you're going to have with top-rate boxers fighting one another. So I'm really happy how that came about. Let's see here. I love this game and love Pro Boxing Universe. Dice Game Up by Ronnie Wyatt. This game and I believe Fordice Boxing is being used by Jason Graham and one other. We put together a 4-team or 6-team American Boxing League. We each drafted one boxer out of each weight class, and the season's about ready to wrap up. My Ohio riggers did quite well. I'm not going to say I rigged it, but since I created the game, I kind of can know what fighters would have done better against others. But let's see. Do you have any interest in making a golf or racing game? Golf, I actually rattled around in my head a little bit. And if I were to make something like that, the offense would be what the golfer scored, and the defense would be what the course allowed. I've got a few other projects that will precede me even making a golf game. Racing, I haven't even thought of. But like I said, never to say never. And I'll get into that here in a minute as I wrap up. Having a stable and fighting air career mode would be cool. Yes, I agree. I did start to work with AI. I would love to have some sort of a fictional boxing mode where you can start fighters at the beginning of their careers. The only problem with that is when you start with a 0-0 record. Even if a fighter gets hot, wins his first 3 rounds by knockout, does that make him completely invincible? No, it doesn't. So I would have to find out a way to start out a fighter's career and adjust their ratings in a realistic manner very early on in their career, and then once they hit a certain level, maybe 20 bouts, where they would actually have a manageable record, a good representation of what kind of boxer they actually are against the competition they've fought, then the actual formulas that I create for these retired boxers can be used. But it's finding that ramp up to that level that is going to be the challenge. And Prey Cruz says hi, hello. A promoter mode, yep, promoter mode would be pretty cool. So I think I might, in time, it might not be right away, but in time, coming up with some sort of a fictional universe for this, which I think would be very exciting here. So let's see, Dominic M806. I've tinkered a bit, marrying big country boxing with Jason with fight card boxing, and it's been interesting. Yep, Jason puts out some great games. He's been a great inspiration and a very good friend to me. I've been able to bounce off many ideas off of him over this last year, and his sage wisdom has been invaluable to me. So let's see here. So now that I've covered the boxing, I've covered all the games that I've done so far. There's the YouTube channel, and as I'm making this, I'm not quite yet to 250 subscribers. I do want to make more videos, so that's time dependent, and that's the big thing. If you've noticed and you've been following my games, you notice I really haven't been putting many seasons out lately. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one is I wouldn't use the word burnout, but at a certain point in time, you got to take a break and just exhale for a little bit. I'm a one-man show. My spreadsheets are, I wouldn't say complete chaos and madness, but I know how they work. I know what to put into them to get the expected output, and that's not to say that nobody else would be able to do that. It's just that right now I'm the only one who creates all these seasons, so the more games I put out, the fewer games for each that I have to create and spread out are going to be created in whatever time frame I get to create them in. So if I have 2 games, then I can alternate just between those 2, and I'll get more populated. I've got 3 now, so if I go to, actually I got 4, so if I go to 5, then I got to alternate between those 5. So that's how that's going to go as far as creating. Now, on most of the pages, I do have a poll. I believe I have one on the football and the hockey. So, especially with the hockey, I'm strictly going off the poll by what seasons people want to see next. There's no sense in creating a season that doesn't have demand. Excuse me. I've also gotten requests. I want to do more college. I do want to do CFL. And I've got the data that somebody had given to me to do some Olympic sets. That data is not readily available in more than one location, so I have to parse that data from what's given to me for what I need to create the team cards with. That takes time as well. And also, somebody, see who mentioned baseball. Let's see, Dominic, yes. See how you do baseball with something like this? Well, you will find out by the spring. I do have a baseball game in production. It's an alpha/beta testing right now. I'm not going to give too many details away, but it is going to be a quick play baseball game. It will have player finders for certain statistics. And if you don't use the player finders, you can play a game in under 5 minutes. But that's all. I don't want to give too much away on that. I'm not sure. I wanted to have it out by the end of the year. It's just not going to happen. And another reason why I'm not making a whole lot of seasons either is because we've got family members that are not in good health, namely my mom, and I'm spending a lot more time lately taking care of her health and her personal affairs from a distance, which means several trips between Ohio and New York to visit and to tend to her needs. So that's kind of temporarily drained my creative juices, but that's okay. I think 1,000% of you would say family comes first, and that's a definite. And I'm hoping what all I have created in just under a year's time here, hopefully it'll be enough to quench your thirst for a little bit, knowing that there will be more on the way. My ultimate goal is to have all seasons for all the sports I make, at least for the pro side, available. What's new for upcoming year? Baseball, soccer? Yes, pray. Yep, I am coming out with a baseball game, and that's in, like I said, that's in production. And I do plan on making a soccer game. Soccer mirrors itself so much to hockey, with results and goals. Of course, you've got different types of goals for soccer. You got regular goals, and you got penalty kicks and corner kicks, and so on and so forth. So that will be, there'll be a little bit different factor with that. And I do want to work in some red card, yellow card scenarios into it as well. But that will be strictly a percentage-based game for soccer. If all goes well, that will be out by this time next year. But I'm warning you right now, soccer. Philip. Oh, okay. Okay. Yep. I'm looking a little bit closer at your icon, and I can see your picture. Yep. Okay. Philip is a big fan of mine and lives relatively close, but is one of my more loyal customers. So thank you, Philip, for coming on. Soccer, yes. I'll warn you. I'll probably start out with the MLS, obviously, and probably the major European league, probably the Champions League. We'll start out with, and if you go on Soccer Reference or Football Reference on the reference site, my goodness, the number of leagues is just mind-boggling. And I know people throw ideas at me all the time, and I want to make as much as I can, but the popularity has to be there for one. But I could, if you had the stats, I could create your kid's 6-year-old soccer team where all the kids swarm around the ball like a little swarm of bees and just go up and down the field. But MLS and Premier League, yes, are going to be the two that I probably will start out with, and then we'll see what happens from there. So as I make each game, the spreadsheets that I create, I try to improve my process so that I can create seasons quicker. So but again, a lot of it depends on my family situation, and I will work around that the best I can to make sure I can get more created, and that's how that's going to go. And I'll keep everybody posted as much as I can. Before I leave here, let's go to. I'm going to bring up one more thing here. For those of you who don't know my company very well here, there's my website, powderbluesports.com. And if you click on the free downloads, and you'll see each game. So if you go to Drive Time Football, it'll bring you to the free download section, and there's all the Google Drive files that you'll need. and it's the same for each sport. If you go to the individual sports, this is where you can order the printed seasons. We have the specialty offense defense dice, and I will say that there's going to be another specialty die just for the baseball game. We won't be using the offense defense on that one. It's going to be a derivative of that, but that's all I'll say. You can buy the box set. You can buy the I make trays, and also here's a picture of the a blank tray with the dice tower that is 3D printed by Victor Wenzel. You can find him on Facebook too. He lives about 5 miles away from me, conveniently so. Great guy. But he 3D prints these dice towers that they just work fantastic, and they clip right on to the lip of the trays that I sell, and they roll the dice fantastic, and it's at a really good price of $25. So, and then we can scroll down and can see all the different seasons for whatever sport you want to purchase. So that is the Powder Blue Sports website, and there's also some videos on there as well. I put some of the key videos on there that I create regarding the instructional videos on how to use different aspects of the game. And one thing I'll reveal here, not a single person has brought this up. And I didn't notice this until, I'd say 2 months after I created the basketball game. I looked at it one night because AI makes all of my logos. Right? Prompt AI to make the logos, and I take the one that I like the best. But anyways, on the basketball one, if you notice on here, it's spelled Baseline, and I just looked at that and did a forehead slap and said, "John, you big dummy." So I went into Photoshop, and I didn't make a new logo because I couldn't replicate what I had on there. I guess now I could, now that I know how to prompt it a little bit better. But I cleaned up the 2 eyes into one, and I'm using that as my logo, but not one person brought that. People are really good at bringing errors up to me, and I'm a human. I make mistakes, and I'm grateful when somebody notices an error that I can correct. But I tell you what, this one went over everybody's head. So, anyways, that's the website, and I think that is it. So we've gone over each of the games. Did a little history on each, showed you what each looks like, and again, you'll see baseball here in this spot. Hopefully by the spring. That brings me to this too. And R2K, thank you. Al Wilson does some great games. He just put out the card FAC version for Fast Drive Football, and I purchased his game. I'm excited to try that. And that's one thing about game developing here too, is I don't get to play a whole lot of other people's games, which is, I just wish there were more hours in a day because I'm not retired yet. So I've got about 5 more years before I hang up the office desk. So, but I try when I can. I do the co-op stuff for the 85 for the football that I've got, and every once in a while I'll pull out another game. And I'm excited to try Al's game on there as well. And he was gracious enough to make a 3D printed Red Ice Hockey little miniature scoreboard. So if you go on his site, that's on there as well, if you want to purchase that. So next year, schedule and family issues pending, I plan on attending IndyCon in April in Fort Wayne. My wife and I went last year and had a great time. S.T. Patrick and his wife are great hosts, and if Fort Wayne isn't too far away, I encourage you all to go. Like I said, I'll be there this year for that, and I definitely plan on going to Canton next August. Both are within 3 hours of my home here. So as of right now, I don't plan on going to Digital to Dice Con. I had a fantastic time there last year, but probably 2 cons a year is going to be my limit. So with travel and money and vacation and all that, that all factors into it. So I probably won't be going to Digital to Dice Con in May, but I'll more than definitely go to IndieCon and to Canton in 2026. So I believe I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you for joining, and thank you for your support, each and every one of you, this past 12 and a half, 13 months. I did not foresee me making these many games in this amount of time, but each one is a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth child, and it's something that I'm proud of making, something I wanted to share with the community. So thank you for those who have downloaded, thanks to those who have purchased or just made suggestions. I listen to every suggestion. Whether I integrate it or not is a different story, but I do listen to everyone's suggestions. And as some of you know, I do make changes based on those if I deem them necessary. But thank you all for your support. And with that in mind, I'm hoping that 2026 is a bigger and better year for everybody. And thank you for watching. Thank you for playing. And it warms my heart to hear messages of how everyone has enjoyed the games that I've made. That's why I do it. I do it to give back. But as far as the printed stuff, yeah, I'm not there to make a quick buck off of it, but I also want to help people out who don't have printers, that I can be of that kind of service to them as well. So thanks again for watching. Thanks again for supporting. I can't say that enough. And hopefully I'll be making more videos here. Yes, the one question R2K, I will be doing some more fight card boxing bouts. A lot of it is just time dependent. I've got my online setup here for creating some more videos with a higher quality camera, and I'm slowly but surely mastering OBS. That's what I use for my streaming. So, but thank you very much, and everybody have a great day, week, month, end of the year, and happy rolling, everyone. Goodbye.